Yay! Here we are.
I'm ready to just talk to you a little bit today about this energy. I'm really in my grounded energy because the sun is in Virgo and the new moon is in Virgo. So really excited. I'm feeling super on point. I know that you may not feel as on point. Thanks for joining. I love you. And if you're on a different channel and you're catching this, like, say hi. We do read all of our comments and threads. So an Astro reading, and a little bit of breakdown where she's going to do it. I'll do a. I just want to let you know who we are in case you have our videos before. I'm Lisa. My name is Aiylah.
And I'm Jamie. Go by Takata.
So we're the Heart Church and Inner Goddess Retreat. And also I run Yoga for Love online training as well. And we have a 200 and a 500-hour online training and a business coaching course for yogis, artists, and creatives. And we also do trainings virtually and in person. So a little bit about what we're doing coming up. I'll give you some that we have going on, and we'll go right into our reading. Sound good? Okay. You can catch us also if you go to retreats.org. You can sign up for our newsletter and share some different types of events that are coming up, sessions with us as well. We're both available as coaches to help you through this. I know a lot of us are into each other. That's why our energies are connecting. No matter how you found us, or we're connected on that level where our frequency is matching, and that's why we're connecting that way. So, being empathic, we need help. We need support. If you're looking for that, we do offer that as well. Sessions with sound healing, yoga, as well as shamanic teachings and drum journey and power animal retrievals, soul retreat. Really feeling, bringing back all the particles of our own to this present moment so we could be fully who we are. We're here, right?
It is.
So you want to share about upcoming events or anything like that?
We have the Inner Goddess Retreat in October.
Mm-hmm.
Like coming up 1st through the 3rd.
Yes, it's here in North Texas. So that's going to be an amazing retreat.
3-day yoga retreat.
Yoga, meditation, sound healing, to kind of do an ecstatic dance and around the fire pit, and do a fire fan performance, if it's called. So it's the intuitive of amazing people that show up to bring their gifts. We do vegan potlucks on every meal, on sisterhood time. So we do still have some spots available, very affordable. So you can catch that at yogaforlove.com or innergoddessretreats.org. They'll take you to the same and sign up for that. We'll to be with you for those 3 days in person. Looking forward to that. That's only happens twice a year here in North Texas. And then we have another amazing retreat. Wow, I'm so excited. And that means
Egypt.
So we're going to Egypt, and we're going with Paul of the International. It has holographic sound healing. I think it's International School of Holographic Sound Healing. I'm going to get that exact one to you, but you can get information for that on our website at Yoga for Love Egypt, and it's yoga with the number 4. So you can catch there and book a discovery chat for any of the retreats coming up. We love to meet you before you come on retreat. That way you feel really comfortable. Get to know you a little bit face to face on live video, and then that way it feels a lot more welcoming when you get there, because it's into a space of a bunch of women that you met before. But we do hold a very safe and sacred space. We have plenty of time for personal space, and you can groom the horse, you can hang around, or you can spend time chatting on your breaks with some of the other women. So we have a henna artist that comes every and she does henna. Sometimes we have a reader, Master Linda Ball, will come to some and do auric readings, and so we do fun stuff in addition to yoga and meditation. So yeah, anything else that Moni
Oh yes.
on suing?
Mm-hmm. So on October 31st, we'll be hosting another plant ceremony. Then we'll be doing, I don't remember what for the winter solstice.
Mm-hmm. So we have two plant ceremonies.
Solstice, but not on it.
Right, so that kind of falls around the holidays because the solstice is 1st of December. So we have one on Suing, which is 6 weeks from the fall equinox, which is coming up next. Well, week and a half, 2 weeks. And then we have Suing is All Saints Day, is also Halloween. That's a very, very powerful time in ceremony. And we're sitting with plants and learning more about what that looks like and learning more about the journey you've had and talk to us about that. You can go to yogaforlove.com / book a time with us, and we can talk to you a little bit about seeing if that's a fit for you. And if you have ever sat with plant medicine before and wanted to sit again, we love experienced healers as well as all levels. It's a very sacred container. We do interviews before you sign up for that. And like she was saying, right around the winter solstice, we'll do another. So we usually do one around the equinoxes and the solstice. It's all in tune with the of the Sabbats or the Celtic calendar, Sabbats of the year. So how I'm talking about out there. But this is the tradition of the seasons, right? And we're honoring the seasons. We're honoring the movement of the sun, the movement of the earth. As we do that, we also sit with chanting and meditation, and the healers of the plants space to really create this great for all of us. And so we would love to privately. So the Inner Goddess Retreat, and then Egypt, and then we're end of the year already. We're in the 4th quarter. But yeah, this the year has started. So
the year of September is upon us.
Yeah, this has been already 8 years long. If you feel drop an emoji for real, right? Right. Yes, I see y'all saying hi. Of course, this has been a very crazy for this after 2020, I don't even know what to expect. So it's been intense and transformative to say the least. And so we're holding space for y'all to step into, move into who to be. And so talk about what that looks like astrologically right now.
Well, it is time to do if you have stepped into yourself now, because everything that may be up for you is coming up cleared, so you can make that. Right now, the new moon, of course, in Virgo, but also to post shadow phase of Mercury retrograde. So things are going to slow down.
Things like a lot of y'all have told me today that
anything that you're working on or doing, that you're working with, anything that you might be trying to, it's going to start to, anything that you need to get wrapped ASAP, you need to make that happen now. Everything is coming into this place of do it now, do it now, do it now.
Every line up. And so it's all, the universe is all in your favor right now. All the cards are forward for you to step into this power. And yeah, like you're literally giving everything on a silver platter, planetary wise. A lot of y'all might not be super familiar with, if you are, bear with me for a moment while I explain this to the others. But when you're working with the energies of planets, each planet is an energetic being that is very alive. And these planets all affect our here on Earth, and our bodies are energetic maps we have embodied based on the electrons that we're made out of. And so the electrons that make up our being are very the energetic fields of all the planets around us. And this is not philosophy science, and it's quantum physics. And so that's why the energies of Mercury moving makes us feel different ways, and it makes our emotional states sing. It makes our to know, okay, this time is really perfect. This is time to chant. This is an auspicious to ask the universe for certain things, because all of the energies are. That's exactly what's happening right now, and it is a new.
New moon is when you know, it's new phases, new, you know, want to accomplish new missions, new, whatever it is that you want to set for your path ahead of you. Now is the time. But anything that is coming up as a, you know, to be processed or dealt with in order that happen, to be faced head on and not pushed to the side. Mercury will actually retrograde officially 8th of September, I believe. Some say 27th.
I mean, it's an energy cusp, like the new moon yesterday. Some people said it was today, because it's a window, our window you have around the new moon, the full moon, and then the shadow period is what she's saying. We're stepping.
The shadow is where you start energy coming. It's like a transition. So you start energy coming in, and that hits today with this new moon. So we're going to start to see things start to begin their slow down phase. Things coming up to be cleared. And once it's, you know, Mercury goes retro about 3 times a year. So this is the retrograde for this year. One in January, February, and one in May, I believe. And so, just, you know, a lot of people freak out when Mercury goes retrograde, but it is actually a really beautiful time, because things slow down and can get a little frustrating. Things that you want to happen, paused, halted, put on hold, you know,
this is not time to push.
It's like this thing that you wanted to happen is just now. It's all these things are in the way. But what it does is it gives you time to be active and actually get really on what it is you truly want. Is this the view? Is this the thing that needs to happen? And so that when out of retrograde, which will be October, things will begin to pick up and start moving forward again. And then they'll, of course, have the post shadow of coming out of that, you know, it
takes a minute.
Still coming. So there'll be this little bit of still slow motion, but things are going to kind of come to a halt between September 28th and September 18th. So everything's going to kind of shut down. What may happen there?
Just be ready.
Be ready. Things come to a screeching halt.
One thing that can mean too is, you know, like if you're pushing and forcing in a direction, notice that when you push and force, you're going against the grain. When you're floating like a stick on a river and you're just going with the current, the stick is turned toward the most direct current. And that's where we need to be as light workers, as intuitives, as humans living this human experience. We have calibrated as a piece of wood floating on the river. It just goes with the little curvatures. And if you're going sideways, you're going to jack up, you know, you're getting a machine, you know. So what'd you say? So oh good, thank you, Tina. Yes, it's so oh namaste, Robin. So good you're on. So yeah, it's really crazy. You know, we tend to think, oh, you know, the old school, like the way of my father is, you know, work, you know, get your shit done, and you know, 9 to 5, home and have your dinner, and then you know, the kid and the mom does this and the dad does this, and you know, have to do, and these roles and these ways of things into this box, and you know, it can be configured in that way where that is no longer valid. That little box keeps you, it's not serving anymore. You have to just allow and your heart to the flow of what's allowing in your life and what's like flowing, not forcing. So does that make sense? I mean, I know that it seems sort of vague for this type of teaching, but this is the most important thing in manifestation and creation in your life is attuning yourself to flow, because everything else is into place. You know, a lot of people are so worried about, like, you know, oh my gosh, you know, I have to make my car payment. I have to, oh God, I don't have the money for my car payment. And that's what happens when your car payment comes up. We don't have the fucking money. Freaking out the whole time. The only focus you have is, I don't have enough money. Oh my God, I need to make some more money. I need more. I need, instead of being like, you know, my back. I mean, I receive random, like, all the time, like random refunds, like overpayments, like money, like it just comes in the mail. I'm like, okay, because I could have, I needed to get some pay for something, like, you know, so like it will just happen.
It does help.
So you just, when you're, it will come in random forms, and information are so important to keep your thoughts in alignment. So what box? Thank you. Throw your boxes away. Boxes, exactly. There is no boxes. So box inside your dogma or inside of your old tapes and old stories. Try to examine if that box you in your highest capacity, in your highest good. Sometimes those boxes were created by our parents or our grandparents, and to stay within that box means that we are old paradigm, you know, 50, 100 years. And that's not the current energy. That's not what was meant to happen for this moment.
In fact, you know, 2020 was a hard reset. It actually brought up a lot of important, what really works in life, continue as they were and where they were going, but we're still in. Now we're at a new place of things continue as they are. These leftovers that haven't been in the collective from the 2020 are still ongoing. So we started to put things blindly, started, okay, well, this is how we have to do things, and with a new flow, which it was, but also it's really, there's a lot of distortion taking place, and we have to get really clear what is true, and the only is to go within and find your person, what really resonates with you, not what, you know, what the various hypes that are out there in these. There's a lot of junk going out and about and hype that are taking place. Say that things that are going on in our reality aren't real, but there's a lot of things going on in our reality.
I want to share a little example of one of the holy water. So our spring, we had these little crosses that were placed, and we were floating them in brass mortar and pestle on our altar. And to attune to the energy, it was the little crosses were acting like a compass, and they were literally turning. They were both, there was two of them in two different little brass crosses, and they were turning exactly
together.
to match. They were matching each other. And there wasn't any wind, it was being blown. And so that I was wanting to share, and somebody, this is for you, whomever this is for, is attuning to the white light of the Christ Sophia consciousness. The Christ Sophia is the highest good and the highest agape love that English can't describe. The love of your mother without any distortion. The love of our divine mother too, and attuning to that frequency and then allowing yourself to be floating, allow yourself to point in the direction of that light, and it will attune you and show you what is your next step. The next step for us until we actually there was a video where he was stepping upstairs and they would light up. Was it like the Billie Jean video maybe? It was like dun 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 dun, and every time he'd step, it would light up. And so that's what happens. The universe doesn't for you until you are fully all in and committed and all of your toe on it. And like, oh, there's no stair there. So it's kind of like you're free falling and taking a dive jump without a parachute, but then the parachute will appear as soon as you
trust.
Yeah, it's fully trusted, and allowing yourself to take that free fall and just like, okay, I know I'm stepping somewhere and I know this is going to catch me because the universe. But also, like she was saying, there's a lot of distortion out there. So attuning to see is so important because you can get really out there and really crazy rabbit holes. They'll take you down some really, and so I choose to ask that I'm working within the Christ Sophia light, the Divine Mother, the light of the Christ, because that for me, I know is safe, and it's also there's not any distortion. Now in the religion part, that's a whole other story. I'm not talking about all. Okay, so don't get me wrong. Don't leave just but in that there's a lot of distortion in the interpretation of it. So our relationship in your truth only, your own high truth, and it's true for you. It may not be true for your mother, your brother, your aunt, your uncle, your sister, who gives a flying F who is standing in your truth. Now, how do you know? Because you're sitting in that quiet space, you're sitting in your heart, you're allowing the practices and the tools. We also come onto these videos too to share with you some of these tools because it's hard to do if you don't have a tool belt, right?
And that's exactly what I'm also talking about in the sense of stay in that forward trajectory in the path of the light. It is coming up for you right now, is coming up to show you how it's from being in that light. So to be healed, cleared, released, let go, so that you can move forward in that clarity. It's all about right now.
So it's
changing
down to
really
the core.
rapidly for you.
When we are clearing and shaping, it's like honing and chipping and your diamond is inside there. And you're chipping away the coal and you're chipping away the rock and you're chipping all this stuff. And all that is, it doesn't mean it's bad. Judgment on it. It just is. It's there. It needs to be cleared. It might be someone else's from your ancestral 7 generations back that you're clearing. And a lot of us have came here, especially the younger, that have came here purposely to pick crap from all the ancestors, so bring it forward into this new earth. You may not even know why you're chipping, what those shadows even are, and it doesn't even matter. This is not psychotherapy. This is not talk therapy. This is, sitting with the therapist and talking it out, and talking about your problems and reliving them for 20 years, talk about that trauma. No, it doesn't necessarily matter why. It's important. Yes, I'm not saying it's not valid, but it is not the it doesn't matter exactly why you're clearing it, releasing it forward in your path. And there's always action. There's not stagnation. There's always action. So, and we pulled the shark, if you recall, on Tuesday. So the was constantly flowing, even if very slow and steady, just constantly flowing, moving that water over the gills and then releasing that old water, moving through. And if it stops and stagnates at any moment, he'll sink and he will die. So he doesn't have a swim bladder. He doesn't have a safety net. Okay? A lot of the fish, all the other fish they have that swim bladder that keeps them upright. But the shark, he's going to constantly flow and find his food source, and he's going to find his purpose because he's constantly in the space of floating. Does that make sense? Yeah. So what else is significant in this Virgo new moon, and what is the new moon for everybody that's watching?
That's a really great question. So, Virgo being there's a lot of earth energy, so being able to be grounded, setting forth with a plan. Virgos like to have a plan.
Yes.
They like to be organized, and it goes like this. It goes to the calendar.
Virgos, holla. Yeah, and sometimes it can be a little much for those that flow, like.
But it's good.
Because
it does bring a balance. Because some things that you need to get taken care of, or written things start to come to a halt. So motion, if it's not already in motion, finalizing all the things and making it happen, that's necessary to get it and moving forward with that new mission, that new removing and fully to this new age at this point. The shift is in full effect, and the more of us that are power, our highest selves, the faster that will take place. And we've got to all wake up to truth of what's taking place around us.
To have that shared vision of peace on earth and what that looks like and what that feels like. Yeah. And it starts with us having that shared vision of the earth because that's what we're creating. Mm-hmm. And so I have some conversation recently with a dear friend and talking about, just that energy that's dissonant, the one that's constantly coming up, and anything that's happening to bring empowerment to lives, to women, to are being brought into action. There's this energy that's opposing it, and that what happens with that opposing force? It's not our job. Our job is not an opposing force, and our generate the light so that it's brighter and brighter, and it burns out all of that shadow. It doesn't necessarily even matter what that force is doing at this point, because resonant energy that we are accelerating higher and faster, that will shake out like panning for gold, and all the drops out, and then you're left with the flecks of gold in the end. But you have to do all that shaking and being like a mofo,
Shaking out is actually having to come to something that you may actually believe may not have been the truth, and that can be a harsh reality to accept. It comes like, oh, I've been being lied, or this person that I trusted, or entity that I trusted, this dogma, this there's a lot of things being revealed, and the real truth is there. But if you don't sift through it and find truth, the gold, and pull that out, it can keep trailing you along. Our powers that don't want you to
they don't want you to know a lot of things. They, meaning those opposing forces, because if we were woke and, you know, in the world had access to this information, which, hello, right here in our heart, in our crown chakra, in our third eye, in our voice, in our heart, in our intuitive bodies, we all have this six.
They can't do it without our participation.
Right, we have to buy into that belief, you know. So there's that whole point. Unless we stop believing what they're creating, and they're also blatantly calling themselves out. You know, is that some of these things are so created, manufactured, and you know the way blasphemes it out there, broadcasts it everywhere, and deletes the truth and smaller and smaller and smaller funnel, buries it down into where you have to really, really dig into remote internet sites. You know, so that's the thing, is that what's being obviously thrown in your face for truth, because they're feeding it to you. And so you need to find your
literally
truth
like in your food.
Yeah.
In your news.
On that, because I don't want to, you know, I can get on my soapbox about that as well. So,
well, that's where the energy is right now with this new moon and the Mercury retrograde and the various planets that are in position and squared, and without going into details of what those are.
Right, you're really deep into that, but we just want to give you the overview.
It's time.
Yeah,
things are going to come up, and they're going to require an instant to it. Like, okay, I have to do this.
Right, it's not like, okay, well, I'm going to put on my calendar to that next week. When spirit, you have a feeling in your heart, the best thing that I can say is to not think about it, and it comes into your head. And when it has been given to you in your heart, you're just that, because you know you're working straight with the source, and you know you've already cleanly and clearly working with the Christ Sophia consciousness, and need to be in my field. So you already know the message is clear, because you already asked, and it's spiritual law that when you ask that other things that don't resonate with that leave your field, then it has to leave. And so it's by saying, I'm going to think about that. I'm going to research it. I'm going to go and then you get into this rabbit hole spiral, and the message is so distorted that you haven't even bring it through. So the action has to get. You have
and
to
it can be
action.
really, for example, just on a small scale today, that I've been doing some DoorDash. So I did food to a lady who was working in the hospital in the cancer center, delivered lunch, and she did it, and she was just so grateful. There was this look on her face, like in her soul. She just was heavy, and she took it, and she's thank you so very much. And I got out to my car, and it just gave me this message that I needed to actually message her directly and tell her she's going to be all right. And so I sent her a message, keep going, the universe has your back. And her response was so much. I needed to, and in that moment, knew that, Spirit had just told me that I needed that information, and immediately responded, the fact that she needed to totally just ignore that.
Yeah,
kept driving. gone to the next dash, but that intuition, and that's just on a small scale, but could have and likely change the whole trajectory of her day, and as uplifting, which is going to continue to ripple out. So it's little things to large. It makes a difference. Just listen.
Listen and act. That's the thing. If it stays in your head, doing your work.
And
So yes, respond. So I would like to give you a inspiration card today and come to the end of this call. And this deck particularly is from Ware, K-R-I. And this one is the Inspiration Oracle. And it has lots of goddesses and are very rare, like not really super common. It's a big deck. So I'm going to just like traditionally shuffle you with a deck of cards, which is what I'm being told. The goddess that's speaking for this overseeing energy. These cards are also really. That's been the theme song this week. Okay, so I'm going to read her.
The mother. Honor the divinity of your grief. Spring will return.
So I would like to speak to this. One of my dear friends to me on a message, and she was going to come out and doing threads for people, kind of like I have in my hand. She's a sister I've been trying to connect with in person, and and I have had such a transformation. I wouldn't call myself an expert in grief because it sucks expert in grief, but over all of my grandparents are crossed over. I'm still grieving the 9-year happy marriage that ended abruptly this year. But still, it's a grieving period, and so speaking of grief on that level, it is something that is something that you can't. It doesn't hit you when it's convenient. It doesn't even hit you in the time because you're like, I don't even feel anything. Am I numb? I really do a lot of practices that from feeling like I'm numb, but what the fuck? Anything, and then all of a sudden it's just like a little, and it will hit you, and you have to feel, and numbing it with alcohol, with weed, overuse of sex, shopping, or whatever your vice is, will still always be there. So as soon as you get a credit card or you drink 15 in the evening, you're going to come to the realization that it's still there. Dealing with it with the Divine Mother. So I've been doing a lot of work with the Divine Mother and the Goddess in all her forms, and she has been gifting me with information that I channeled through these great teachers, and I'm honored to have those teachings come through. So when the Mother speaks, she speaks with wisdom, and she speaks with love, and she speaks with kindness. And so know that when you're sitting in your grief, you're also being held. You're never alone in that. And even though you might be alone in physicality in this realm, there is that space and that heart space that you lean into that's always open there. Divine Mother frequency, the energy of Amma, of the Virgin Mary, the Mother, the Virgin is in the sweet little girl who had a baby that was, immaculate conception, just so innocent. No, I'm talking about the power of the Divine Mother, who is the freaking badass goddess that was so connected to spirit that she conceived. That is the power of the Mother that I'm talking about. Let's hear what she has to say.
This season's motherhood, Demeter harvest is considered the mother archetype of the triple goddess. Her story has offered through the ages to mothers everywhere to explain the seasons. When Stephanie was abducted by Pluto, god, to become his bride, she searched the ends of the earth for her child. Zeus had allowed Pluto to wed Persephone. At this news, grief and fury overwhelmed the goddess. So that the earth might reflect her sorrow, plants from flowering and ripening, thus creating winter for the first time. The main ritual associated with Demeter this I don't know this one. Thesmophoria, which allowed women to work through pain. It allowed them to honor their grief. Nice. It's goddess like this. Honor the divinity of your grief. Spring will return.
It's a beautiful teaching.
It's
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that festival and that honoring, but I guess it's an honoring of Demeter. So it's a Greek festival.
Yeah.
So we'll get back to you on that. She is in the woods. She is in the winter woods, as you might see in this card, in the energy of the birch. I was in Connecticut this year and in Maryland in the wild growth forests, and I did a lot of hiking to different waterfalls. The medicine of the birch is extremely magical, and it is the medicine of the stripping down and the bare and the beautiful bark that's exposed in that time of the year. And the power of that medicine is so strong. So what came here, and I just the medicine of the birch also with you. We're coming into fall, but the seasons also are encyclical with our emotions, not necessarily with the exact time. If it's a winter season for you in your emotional field, just know that when you sit with it and run from it, or even allow yourself to judge it, there's no good and there's no bad feelings. There just is, and the feelings will rise up, and then they will always fall. And it's just like the tide; it will come and go. But if we, that's when we get, like that massive 13th wave that'll just take you down and pull you and suck you into the undertow and pull you a mile out from shore where you have to swim back. So the letting fighting and just sitting it comes, and if you're in traffic, go just cry your eyes out. You gotta be with it when it hits. And she's many times when I just cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. I don't know when crying sometimes, but it just has to move. And so it's a very necessary energy, and it's not a bad thing, y'all.
Beautiful, actually. It's quite beautiful.
It is, even though you have to feel all the feels. All the feels. But the feels are why we do the work, right? Also, you feeling it helps you else who might be feeling it later.
Well, that's what this whole earth is about. It's about the thoughts and the feelings. Well, that's what human experience is.
So we're going to do a card from the Animal Oracle from Stephen Farmer. I love his work. We have his book over there. We have another one by him. But this one is really great. And I'll post these on my Instagram story for y'all. Well, this one just passed. The fox.
Adaptable.
Adapt to the changes that are happening.
Coyote.
Well, maybe that's a bit of our message today. Here's the fox. That are happening.
It's important and necessary to use skills you've learned to not be stuck in any rigid thinking, patterns of behavior, or familiar emotional traps. And if you find yourself, get unstuck as soon as you can. Walk outdoors, do something physical and mindless to shake things up. You have to be flexible to the circumstances rather than trying to make the circumstances adapt to you. There are limited possibilities as to what will happen. You can feel much more at ease and stressed if you allow those possibilities to unfold. Adjust your attitude and actions to agree with them. Prepare for your next move by willing to go with it. Stop fighting the way things are or demanding that things change. Life knows what it's doing. Trust that with the continuum, whether it moves slowly or swiftly, and life will be much easier. Additional applications, shape-shifting, cunning, and subtlety. Box.
So as we're speaking, so on topic, right, to kind of loop back to the beginning of our conversation today, and again, that ability for the compass just to float and to go with the direction of the compass. Just spin with it. You know, I don't have to be like, oh, I'm gonna have to go that way though. But I was, you know, like you're fighting. Oh my God, you know, and it just gets so exhausting, y'all. Does it not? It's ridiculous how we fight it. So we, without a shadow of a doubt, that the universe has our back. That God, Goddess, the divine Great Spirit, the one within us that we are one with, that everything we're creating has infinite peace. And so if we're allowing this come in and to float, then a possibility not even our human mind could have never imagined will come, and then bam, here we are in an exact trajectory of something so beautiful, so much more beautiful than we could ever have even, because we allowed the openness and that universe has our back. So what about the cayman? I really feel like that's...
I mean, that's for me, right?
Well, there's medicine, but the coyote also has to do with the sound, the child, the innocence.
Coyote, wise fool, accept your follies and find teachings in them. Pause for times when you've acted thoughtless or foolish. Recently, how did you feel? Embarrassed? Ashamed? It's time to let it go, to stop shaming yourself. It's not just about forgiving yourself or blandly accepting these instances. It goes way beyond that to loving the side, that part of you that with sense behaves in a way that sometimes brings on social or self-condemnation. To sincerely and deeply love that part of you surpasses forgiveness or repentance. It opens you to a loving yourself unconditionally, as loving the foil of others. The burden of such shame, too great for you, must see these idiosyncrasies with mirror. Do something foolish, the sooner you can let it with yourself, not at yourself, the sooner you can move to a place of acceptance. It's often only later when we look back on these situations that we can discern the more important lessons and the wisdom within them. Associations, the trickster, stability, adaptability, wisdom keeper.
Do you want to speak to any of that? I know you have something to say.
All I can think about is seat.
Oh my God.
Which I know we've told that story before. It's own acceptance of my trickster. I have had to just that, the ability to happening and being able to laugh, playing out
in the moment.
And now I can truly that piece of myself and love it. I love that is a piece of who I am, but it took me a while to recognize it. So the trickster energy through you as a character in ways that are just
see the strings of the marionette being pulled, and you're still doing it, and it still
has to play itself out. So in short form, and when we were coming back from Hawaii, we're like the last people trying to get to the airplane, and the TSA waiting for us to come through so they bags and they can be done for the evening.
Lined up exactly to the degree to be happening in that within that day. It was magic.
So magical. I had this receipt that the lady had just made, and I walk around back to meet the TSA guys that are standing.
Little tiny outdoor airport, y'all. There's nobody.
They're waiting. They're going to go home. Literally, we're the last people. If they're on, we can leave. Well, coming, and then like this breeze along, and it catches this receipt. It blows out of my hand, and it catches it in this weird where the receipt just keeps looping in the air in one spot, just like fluttering about, and trying to catch it, and it's just continuously moving, and they're standing there, and I'm flutter, and I'm like realizing I can't catch it. This is all this. It's holding us up, but it is not of my doing. It doesn't necessarily create this moment. It's happening through me, this moment. And it is something for everyone here. And I don't know what it is, but it's playing. So I'm literally trying to catch it. And I'm going, do you see that this is happening? I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. But it's happening. And they're
still flying in the air.
But I play out. I'm not embarrassed that me. I could have gotten totally embarrassed. Oh, gosh, they're waiting on me. Stumbling about. But I just saw it playing out through me. And I'm just in the play. And this is hilarious. This is one of the things that could happen. Finally, I catch the receipt in the air, and I'm like, okay. Like, make it through. They finish, get to the plane. Everything is good, but the moment that happened, appreciating the play out in such a way, and loving myself for the fact that kind of thing, if you allow it, it's for everyone.
Yeah, it does happen quite often. Random situations. That's why she wears the mask. Because now anyone want to know he's the trickster. And energy, a lot of y'all might carry that, but that's why that came in today too, is also for the child in us, because we held ceremony this last weekend, and the maternal energy, like I mentioned, is one of the gifts comes through as I'm holding space for other as well as myself. And the maternal energy also requires the other person to be in the role of the child, because when you're in a maternal role, you can't be a kid. I mean, you can be a maternal mom to dogs, or you're momming, but you have to have a reciprocal that energy. It's a reciprocal energy of divine love that comes through the heart, and it's gifted out. Also, I have witnessed people, if they are not in a allow that love in, they will not be in the role where they can receive and resistant to it. And offended or whatever rises is that they have to do the work with will rise up, and that coming through me help that comes through, because it is love that comes through. We have how they receive it. It's my job to pour that in the space that is, and if it causes not to receive it, I can't, all I can do is do my work and let it pay forward. And then when they receive the back of the heart, then they can give it forward in the heart chakra, and it'll continue to make evolution, and the circle gets bigger and wider as we circle of love. But also stop receiving it at the back of your heart. And you heard the term people putting up a wall. If that love hits that wall and it says, nope, I'm not ready to receive love, I'm not worthy, I don't need shit, I got this on my own, I got this, I'm a big girl, I got my panties on, I got my heels on, I'm not going to receive that. Trying to give the love, but it hits the wall. And it's our job to start breaking down those so we can become like little children. Jesus said it wasn't that you have to be when the Bible verses talk like a little child. We come to the Great Spirit in the eyes of a child, come in a point of surrender, of constantly being able to learn. I'm always a student, always, and there's always students, teachers, as well as teachers that will be my teachers. Nature will be my teachers, but we have some receptivity in that child space. And that's another, the coyote in the south. So.
Not cutting yourself off.
Right. So
that could totally just like drop their arms and like on.
That's
wow,
super funny.
Like this is happening, and could have laughed in the moment with
right.
That was magic. Like it doesn't just blow out of your hand, it float in one for like 3 minutes. I was like, that doesn't just happen.
Right. So just seeing the magic. That's part of being in. And a lot of y'all that are, that talk to us on chat are like, I see these things that happen, and then this thing happened, align. Y'all, that's life. That continues to happen. It gets more and more and more serendipitous, so that everything is perfectly lined up, and we don't even know how it's going to play out. But sometimes it loops back around for you to say, oh, it happened. Sometimes we never know, but sometimes it comes around like years later, or 14 knew this person, and this person came back around, and then like this person, who knew this person comes into your life, and you're like, okay, really, you can't make it up. So all of this is divinely aligned, sacred contracts as we step into this, and it's to honor those contracts. So important to honor your own personal contract. And if you yay, oh perfect. I was reading that message about 444. So when you're in alignment, the angels will come in right there, and so things will look perfectly for you. You'll see the magic, and you'll be. And so again, if you need help, you will just reach out to us on a private message or book a chat. .com with the number 4/discovery. I'd be happy to sit down and talk with you, see what might be for you a good place to start. There's tons of tools and worksheets specifically for today. I offer you the Find Your Fire bundle that I have. It includes shamanic 9 directions, how to smudge your house. It's a really good time to do all this in that deep work, clearing. I have a medicine bundle in there. So it's store.com, and you can grab that Find Your Fire bundle. And so just scroll all the way down to the bottom of the free stuff. Yeah, it's a great time for a fresh start. So set new things out, flowers, cut some plants. And so Dad, we'll see you on our live on the full moon in And meanwhile, I'll do a couple of live on my Instagram at Yoga for Love, Lisa. And we are so looking forward to connecting with you again. Subscribe, forward this to anybody who you think might get some use out of it. And namaste. Bye, y'all.